This channel explores moments of self-reflection that arise in everyday life. Why goodness needs a voice. Abraham Lincoln once said, "To be silent when they should protest makes cowards of men." There was a time when being good felt sufficient. A person who stayed patient, kept their place, and harmed no one was considered honorable. But today, goodness without voice becomes invisibility. Character still matters, but the world no longer rewards quiet virtue. Maybe goodness on its own is not the whole story anymore. And maybe the mistake is believing goodness is a strategy. First, we assume being kind will earn safety. Yet the world protects only those who declare themselves. Second, we expect effort to be noticed, yet silence makes effort disappear. And third, without boundaries, goodness turns into self-erasure. Being good is not the shield many imagined. It is only the floor from which a life must be built. If you never define what you want, someone else will define you as the fool in the room. So now, what if you asked yourself, does goodness alone give you a life you would choose again? If not, what must be added clarity, courage, or voice?
What would you honestly say?
What should quality a leader? Plato once warned, "The heaviest penalty for refusing to lead is to be led by someone inferior." We trust leaders to shape laws and the direction of our lives. Yet many enter power without proving readiness or discipline. We demand licenses for drivers and exams for surgeons. But those who steer entire societies are often chosen by popularity alone. Before we ask why leaders fail, we might ask why we expect so little. And maybe the real issue is that we mistake visibility for qualification. First, we assume charisma signals competence and confuse confidence with character. Second, modern systems reward campaigns built on image, where slogans replace understanding and applause is quietly mistaken for wisdom. And third, leadership without preparation quietly shows itself like when a policy collapses, because no one who designed it understood its consequences for ordinary lives. In the end, leadership without standards is not guidance, but a long public gamble. So now, what if you asked yourself, do you trust leadership because it is earned or because it is familiar? If leaders needed proof of ethics, who would remain standing?
What would you honestly say?
Can institutions evolve without crisis? Max Weber once noted, "Order is maintained long after its purpose is forgotten." Institutions often endure because repetition feels safer than change. Rules become walls, and procedures become memory. Even when no one recalls why they exist, real transformation rarely begins with comfort. It begins when what once protected us becomes what now restrains us. Before asking why systems fail to evolve, we might ask why we are surprised they resist evolution at all. And maybe the real issue is that we expect institutions to evolve simply because time passes. First, we assume leaders want change when many benefit, most from keeping things still. Second, tradition is praised as wisdom, even when no one remembers the origin of the rule. And third, without pressure, a policy remains untouched, like workplace rules. Everyone quietly mocks, yet still follows, because no one wants to be the first to speak. In the end, systems rarely move unless something forces motion. So now, what if you asked yourself, when did you last question a rule that no longer made sense? If no crisis comes, would you still follow what feels unreasonable?
What would you honestly say?
Is autonomy what you think it is? Immanuel Kant once suggested, maturity is the ability to use one's own understanding without the guidance of another. Many people assume autonomy is simply freedom from rules or doing whatever feels right. But freedom without direction can collapse into chaos. We are not called autonomous because we choose, but because we choose with conscience. Real autonomy is the quiet strength that appears when no one is watching and temptation whispers its easiest offer. And maybe the real issue is that we assume autonomy is already ours. First, we surrender to comfort and call it care. Second, repeated exceptions blur the line between principle and impulse, making discipline feel outdated. And third, untrained autonomy becomes a polished illusion, where life feels self-directed, yet quietly bends to desire, and choice becomes reaction disguised as freedom. In the end, what we defend as autonomy may simply be permission to avoid who we should become. So now, what if you asked yourself, when pressure rises, do your values hold or quietly disappear? If autonomy requires training, what daily act proves you are in command?
What would you honestly say?
Is your lifestyle what you believe? Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony." We like to believe our lives match our values, yet lifestyle often drifts while belief stays on paper. Our habits quietly reveal what we truly prioritize. The choices we repeat quietly become our real confession. Before asking what we believe, we might ask what our daily life already says. And maybe the real issue is that we treat belief as intention, not direction. First, we assume feeling strongly is the same as living differently. Second, modern life rewards performance, where we post convictions, but keep the same patterns because change feels inconvenient. And third, misalignment hides in ordinary days, like when we say relationships matter most, yet always let work win one more time. In the end, a lifestyle that contradicts our beliefs slowly teaches us not to trust ourselves. So now, what if you asked yourself, what part of your lifestyle would change if belief truly led you? If you lived exactly as you believe, what would change first?
What would you honestly say? See you in the next video.